Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witnessed violence.
How many people came through his orbit? How many people could this have happened to? And how did he get away with it for so long?
Nia Long has shattered the silence, dropping a bombshell accusation that could shake Hollywood to its core. She claims Sean Diddy Combs, one of the entertainment industry's most powerful and controversial figures, is the reason why Larenz Tate's once glittering career was derailed. But why? And what did Larenz refuse to do that allegedly cost him his place in Hollywood's spotlight?
Well, the very thing that those who are outside of the Hollywood industry, that are in our community, that see the challenges that we deal with every day as a people. You know, we work twice as hard to get, twice as less as our counterparts, right? And that being said, it is the same way. We're not valued the way I believe we're supposed to be valued.
Larenz Tate, a name that once echoed through the golden era of Black cinema, was more than just an actor. He was a movement. With his boyish charm, undeniable talent, and a string of unforgettable performances in classics like Love Jones and Menace to Society, Larenz was on a trajectory destined for greatness. He was the leading man who didn't rely on drama off-screen to captivate audiences. Clean, professional, and inspiring, he was adored by fans and respected by peers. Yet, as the 2000s rolled on, his presence in Hollywood mysteriously faded. Projects grew sparse, big roles dwindled, and whispers began to swirl.
We are not sort of governing over these entities or these corporations to say, hey, you guys have a great story, y'all want to tell it, and there's money to be made, come here. It's not as many. So when we do find those places, everybody's trying to go through one keyhole. Everybody's trying to go through one.
For years, fans speculated, was it a matter of bad luck, poor choices, or something far more sinister? Now, Nia Long has come forward with allegations that paint a chilling picture of what might have been happening behind the scenes. According to her, Larenz's career was not a victim of chance, but of a calculated campaign to silence him. A campaign allegedly orchestrated by none other than Diddy himself. The reason? Nia claims it all began when Larenz refused to comply with inappropriate advances. Advances that, if true, expose a deeply troubling side of the glitzy world of Hollywood. A side where power, manipulation, and retaliation lurk beneath the surface. But what exactly did Larenz reject? And why would someone as powerful as Diddy allegedly retaliate with such force?
Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life.
And let's not forget, this revelation comes at a time when Diddy's empire is already crumbling under the weight of staggering allegations. The hip-hop mogul, once celebrated for his larger-than-life persona and business acumen, now finds himself at the center of a federal human trafficking case, facing claims that could lead to decades behind bars. The charges include horrifying details about manipulation, coercion, and abuse spanning years. Could Nia Long's expose be yet another piece of a much larger puzzle? A pattern of unchecked power that's finally being brought to light?
So those budgets are really important for us so that we can have the kind of quality that we can present to the consumer. And the smaller the budget, the more creative you have to get. And we don't have resources oftentimes as our white counterparts.
Nia's bravery in speaking out now has sent shockwaves through the industry, especially considering the timing. Diddy, who once seemed untouchable, is seeing his carefully built facade crumble. The allegations against him are not just legal scandals, they are opening the floodgates on years of rumors, whispers, and stories that were once dismissed or buried. And now, Nia's claims could be the nail in the coffin, exposing the lengths to which he allegedly went to protect his reputation and punish those who stood in his way. According to Nia, Larenz Tate's refusal to compromise his values triggered a chain reaction. Diddy, wielding the immense power of his influence, allegedly blacklisted Larenz, ensuring that the actor's name became radioactive in Hollywood circles. Projects were pulled, opportunities vanished, and doors that were once wide open began to slam shut. The timing, Nia suggests, was no coincidence. It all allegedly traced back to a pivotal moment, a moment where Larenz, known for standing firm on his principles, said no. But what kind of power does it take to erase someone as talented and beloved as Larenz Tate? The entertainment industry is no stranger to whispers of blacklists, secret phone calls, and behind-the-scenes deals that can make or break careers. And if these claims are true, Diddy would have had more than enough clout to make it happen. As the head of Bad Boy Records, a multi-millionaire mogul with ties to nearly every corner of Hollywood, and a man whose parties were attended by the who's who of the industry, his reach was vast. A single word from him could allegedly make someone untouchable or just as easily invisible. The allegations don't just stop at Larenz. Nia's revelations beg the question, was he the only one, or is this the tip of a much darker iceberg? For years, Diddy has been surrounded by rumors. From the infamous freak-off parties described in court documents, to the unsettling claims of hidden cameras and coercion, to whispers about his treatment of rising stars. The stories have always been there, lingering just out of reach. And now, with Nia stepping forward, they're beginning to take on a new, more sinister light.
I want to start with alleged victim number 4, who goes by the name Mia. It's an alias. She is one of the people who is testifying where the judge has granted her anonymity. She is on the stand, but everybody in the courtroom has been warned. Do not reveal her identity. Do not even give a physical description of her.
What makes this even more explosive is the context in which these allegations are emerging. Diddy's legal troubles are not just limited to the courtroom. His reputation has been under scrutiny for months, with a growing number of lawsuits and claims painting a damning portrait of his behavior. Former associates have come forward with disturbing accounts of manipulation and abuse. Even his lavish lifestyle, once celebrated, is now being dissected and questioned. And in the middle of it all, Nia's claims about Larenz Tate add yet another layer of complexity and devastation to the narrative.
So she testified, excuse me, that she was Diddy's ex-assistant. She said he her, sexually assaulted her in various ways multiple times. He exacted unbelievable violence against her, threatened her, one point allegedly threatened to take her phone and use anything on the phone.
So what exactly did Larenz Tate endure? According to Nia, the alleged retaliation wasn't just professional. It was personal, calculated, and meant to send a message. Larenz, who had always been vocal about the importance of integrity and authenticity in his work, found himself battling forces far beyond his control. The man who once lit up the screen in Love Jones, who inspired a generation of Black creatives, was suddenly fighting just to stay relevant. And while he has never publicly addressed these allegations, his silence speaks volumes.
You know, they have to find value in what we do. And that's changing quite a bit as we're, making it very clear, and we're loud about it because we have to. That I always say, and I talk to execs in the industry in Hollywood that either look like us, and particularly the ones who are not from the Black community. I tell people all the time, we're not looking for handouts.
But the story doesn't stop there. What if Larenz wasn't the only one? What if Diddy's alleged web of influence stretches further than anyone could have imagined? What if the same tactics used to silence Larenz were also deployed against others who dared to stand up to the mogul? As Nia's claims begin to ripple through Hollywood, more and more voices are starting to emerge. Whispers are turning into conversations, and conversations are turning into And then there's the question of why Nia Long chose to speak out now. Could it be the mounting pressure on Diddy? The growing awareness of abuse of power in Hollywood? Or is it simply that the time for silence is over? Whatever the reason, her decision to step forward is not just a revelation, it's a call to action. A call to uncover the truth, to hold those in power accountable, and to ensure that no one else has to endure what Larenz Tate allegedly went through. But the real question remains, how deep does this go? And how far was Diddy allegedly willing to go to protect his empire? As the allegations pile up, one thing is clear. This is not just a story about one man's career. It's a story about power, corruption, and the price of silence in an industry that thrives on secrets. And while we may not have all the answers yet, one thing is certain. The truth is beginning to emerge, and it's darker than anyone could have imagined. But this story takes an even darker turn when we consider the rumors surrounding Diddy's alleged secret files. Whispers of hidden cameras, recordings, and dossiers on Hollywood's elite are no longer just tabloid fodder. They're part of a chilling narrative that could explain why Diddy's power seemed so untouchable for decades. According to multiple sources, Diddy's properties weren't just homes or party venues. They were allegedly surveillance hubs. Hidden within the walls of his mansions, it said, were cameras placed in every room, capturing compromising footage of celebrities, executives, and anyone who entered his orbit. These recordings, as the claims go, were allegedly used to protect his empire, blackmail his rivals, and ensure silence from anyone who might stand in his way.
He cornered me. And then he asked me, with his arm up, he asked me, "How you doing?" I'm kind of like, wow, what the heck? Very uncomfortable. And then he rubbed his hand down my breast He said, if you need anything at all, you let me know.
The implications are horrifying. If these tapes exist, how many careers could have been destroyed with the push of a button? How many stars, directors, or executives might have been forced to play along, knowing their personal lives were being held hostage? And more importantly, how many people knew and said nothing? Nia's accusations about Larenz Tate being blacklisted feel like part of a much larger pattern. A system of control so deeply ingrained that even the most talented actors, the most promising creatives, could be erased with a few whispers to the right people. If Larenz was punished for refusing to conform, how many others faced similar fates? And how many more were silenced before they even had the chance to speak?
Black communities, Black people support all movies, right? So we have earned that. We have earned the right to be at the table. We earned the right to have the, decision-making power. And oftentimes in Hollywood, historically, Black folks don't govern over anything.
This shadowy web of influence isn't just about individuals, it's about the industry itself. Hollywood is no stranger to power plays, but the idea of someone holding an arsenal of personal secrets over the heads of its biggest players is a level of control that feels almost dystopian. And if Diddy truly wielded that kind of power, it raises an unsettling question. How many of the world's favorite stars owe their success or their silence to the fear of what might be exposed? But this isn't just about secrets and blackmail, it's about the devastating impact on Black Hollywood, a community that has always faced more hurdles, more scrutiny, and more battles just to get a seat at the table. For decades, Diddy was seen as a trailblazer, someone who opened doors for Black creatives and pushed the culture forward. But now these allegations suggest a much darker reality, one where he allegedly exploited the very people he claimed to uplift.
When you start traveling, you start saying, wait a minute, I can't walk down the street and everybody knows the words to, my dialogue to my films, but they don't even speak English, but they know how to say, what you say about my mama? You know what I mean? They know, you know what I mean?
About my mama.
You know what I mean? They know this stuff.
Legendary.
Right? And so I'm thinking to myself, something has to be off with that.
Larenz Tate's story is, in many ways, a tragic example of what happens when you don't play the game. As a Black actor in an industry that already limits opportunities, he was navigating a minefield. To stand firm on his principles, to refuse to compromise his values was an act of courage, but it may have also been his undoing. According to Nia, Diddy's alleged retaliation wasn't just about silencing Larenz, it was about sending a message to everyone else. A message that said, if you don't comply, if you don't fall in line, your career could end overnight. And that's the heartbreaking part of this story. For Black actors, the stakes are always higher. The roles are fewer, the expectations are heavier, and the margin for error is razor thin. Larenz wasn't just fighting for his career, he was fighting against a system that already demanded twice the work for half the recognition. And when someone like Diddy allegedly steps in to gatekeep opportunities, to punish those who don't bend to his will, it's not just one actor who suffers, it's an entire generation of talent that loses faith in an industry that claims to champion diversity, but so often rewards conformity.
It was like, wow, for Diddy? What? That was a person that I looked up to, was a mogul. And I listened to all the artists that he made superstars. And so to have a chance to be able to be signed to him, it was amazing. It was like, oh my God, I'm here. I finally did it.
Nia's decision to speak out feels like a turning point. It's a crack in the facade, a moment of truth that could inspire others to come forward. But it also raises an even more disturbing possibility. What if the stories we've heard so far are just the beginning? If Diddy's influence was as far-reaching as these allegations suggest, how many other actors, musicians, or creatives might have been caught in his web? How many dreams were quietly crushed? How many voices silenced, all in the name of protecting an empire built on secrets? For years, Nia Long has been a symbol of resilience and grace in Hollywood. Known for her powerful performances in iconic films such as Love Jones and Boys in the Hood, she became a household name, celebrated for her ability to bring depth and authenticity to every role. But as her career soared in the late 90s and early 2000s, there came a point when her presence on the big screen began to wane. Roles that should have been hers went to lesser-known names, and major projects seemed to elude her despite her undeniable talent and massive fan base. Could this have been a coincidence, or was there something more calculated at play?
And they would always say to me, my entire career, no overseas, only domestic. There are no deal points for international. And I would think, why not? And it was said that Black people don't sell.
Nia herself has hinted at the difficulties of navigating Hollywood as a Black actress. openly discussing how opportunities for women of color were not only limited but often came with unspoken conditions. She has described the pressure to conform, to say yes to situations that didn't feel right, and to quietly accept a system that wasn't built for her success. But could her career highs and lows also be tied to the same shadowy forces that allegedly targeted Larenz Tate? If Diddy wielded the kind of influence that controlled who rose and who fell, it's not hard to imagine that someone as outspoken and principled as Nia might have found herself on his radar. The timing of her decision to speak out is telling. It comes not only as Diddy's empire begins to crumble, but also as Hollywood itself faces a reckoning. The industry is finally being forced to confront its toxic undercurrents, from systemic racism to the exploitation of power. By stepping forward now, Nia is reclaiming her narrative not just for herself, but for everyone who has been marginalized, silenced, or erased. Her voice carries the weight of experience, and her willingness to question the system could encourage others to do the same.
The length of time. Y'all just mentioned Menace to Society, which was my first feature film back in '93, and I can't...
Nia's struggles are more than just a personal story. They're a reflection of a much larger issue. For decades, Black actresses have had to fight for scraps in an industry that often reduces them to stereotypes or sidelines them entirely. Even those who achieve success, like Nia, often find their careers fraught with unexplained obstacles. The unspoken rules of Hollywood, rules allegedly enforced by figures like Diddy, don't just limit opportunities. They punish those who don't conform. Nia's courage in speaking out now feels like a direct challenge to those rules, a refusal to let her story, or anyone else's, be dictated by fear. By sharing her truth, Nia is shining a light on the hidden struggles of countless women in Hollywood. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that success doesn't always protect you from the darker forces at play. In many ways, her journey mirrors that of Larenz Tate, a rising star whose path was disrupted by forces beyond their control. And while she has remained a beloved figure in the public eye, it's clear that her career could have looked very different in a world without gatekeepers and whispered threats. Her resilience is inspiring, but it also underscores the cost of surviving in an industry that so often fails its brightest talents.
You know, he's saying we, bad boy we. No, it's bad boy you.
And what about the broader implications for Hollywood itself? If someone like Diddy could allegedly maintain this level of control for so long, what does it say about the industry's power structures? Hollywood has always been a place where whispers and rumors thrive, but this feels different. This feels systemic. If these allegations are true, it suggests an industry that not only allowed this behavior, but actively enabled it. An industry where talent and integrity take a backseat to power and control. And as Diddy's empire begins to crumble, it's impossible not to wonder, what other secrets might come to light? Imagine what could happen if these alleged tapes were ever exposed, the scandals, the fallout, the careers that could be destroyed. It's almost too much to comprehend, but more than that, it would reveal the rot at the heart of an industry that so many of us look to for inspiration, for escape, for stories that reflect the best of humanity. If the allegations are true, it's not just one man's reputation on the line. It's the integrity of Hollywood itself.
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers describe the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious trafficking charges in a New York court.
And yet, even with all of this swirling around him, Diddy continues to deny the allegations. His lawyers have dismissed the claims as baseless, calling them a witch hunt, a smear campaign. But with every new lawsuit, every new accusation, the walls are closing in. The question is no longer whether Diddy's empire will survive, it's what will be left standing when it falls. If Nia is right, and Diddy truly held this much power, it forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths. How many others, like Larenz, were blacklisted, silenced, or worse? How many rising stars were extinguished before they even had a chance to shine? And if the industry allowed this to happen, what does it say about the price of success in Hollywood? This isn't just a story about one actor's fall from grace. It's about the dark underbelly of an industry built on secrets and control. And as more voices begin to emerge, one thing is clear. The truth might be even darker than we imagined. But what do you think? Could there be more hidden stories waiting to come to light? And if so, how far does this rabbit hole go? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching and stay tuned because this story is far from over.